So back to the Kaez score, because I've been talking about the last video I made was Homo Nothus. Back to the Kaez score. Um, so first thing I thought is that my humility it. So I was looking at the board here, and I was thinking, and I was remembering the video I recorded about it, and how there was a moment when I was recording where that looked like a real thing to me. You can't maybe see from here, but it says Kaez Value somewhere on the board. And that looks like a real thing to me. Like a real thing. Like something you'd see on Wikipedia or learn about in a class. Except it isn't yet a real thing. I just came up with that today. And so there was this pretty cool feeling that I had. As those things co-livered. The fact that I came out with this today and it seems like a legitimate thing. Um, so then in the video, I think I said, this is pretty cool. And then at some point in the video later, or immediately after that, I said, I mean, even if it's all bullshit, this is a cool perspective on thoughts. A cool, I don't have the word for it, but like a cool way to start thinking about how we can measure thoughts or measure our psychological elements. So I was thinking about having said that, and that that like, and I was kind of comparing that to if, let's say that this turns out to be a legitimate thing. Then one might say that I have reasons now. If it's going to turn out to be a legitimate thing, maybe there are reasons already available that it's going to be a legitimate thing. Maybe even the reasons that I invented it. Maybe I invented it because I saw a real need for it. And then if that's true, then it will be an important thing. But I of course have a great deal of epistemic humility. And so it's the only thing I'm not humble about, my humility. Because when I was humble about my humility for the first much of my life, I just went crazy. So, but so I can be confident in my humility, I think. And so anyway, so then I started thinking about my humility, the fact that like I do this thing and there's a lot of me that's going, this is good. But sort of the loudest parts of me are going, it's probably bullshit, or it might be bullshit, or there's so much that we still don't know, and there's so many gaps that I don't see, but that are likely there in the shadows. And so that feeling of, even though this feels coet, that it probably is inchoate. And that's an important thing for anybody to be able to do. I think I was imagining someone else being in this situation, having come up with this, and it looks impressive. Numbers and graphs and different colors and words that aren't real words yet, and it just looks impressive, romantic. And so another sit stem in my position in this environment could go, oh my gosh, I've cracked it. I figured it out. And part of me is feeling a little bit of that. But it's pretty drowned out by, I don't know what this is worth. I'm just throwing it in there. So, and and if you take the average of my life, I am plagued by humility. It is a pathological self-doubt. Not really sort of about abilities, but about truth, I guess, or access to truth, or how my truth or the things that I think to be true compared to, the truth value of other people's truths. Um, so my, so my epistemic humility, my intellectual humility, my skepticism of self, it would be a B0. I'm exaggerating, but I would put it at that end of the spectrum. So it would be a B0. It is high kit and high zit, or and/or. Actually, I don't really know, do I? I don't know whether I, but since it's like all the time, it feels like. Feel like I can't have a thought and believe in it and just move to the next thought. I can't have a thought without an op-ed. So because it's so often, well, is it so often? I don't know. Maybe in other environments, it doesn't happen. In which case, it doesn't necessarily have to be very kit on the anti-livery side. It could just be very zit. So when I'm thinking by myself, and I have a thought, in that specific condition, there's a very strong activation of a very strong slapping of the humility. But no, when I'm having conversations with people, so I don't know. It seems very kit, but I don't really know what I'm talking about because this is for y'all to study. But it seems very kit based on the fact that it seems to be so often, and just like with everything, like there's nothing I'm certain about. Nothing. I don't have a whole lot of questions about my abilities. So okay, so it isn't a zero kit, because in situations, if I'm thinking about like my abilities, like could I write a really good book? I'm pretty confident that I could. Of course, I'd have to do it to know that, but there isn't like, oh, you know what, maybe I can't, or maybe I'm bad at this, maybe I'm bad at that. No, I don't have that activity. So if we're talking about in general my humility, it's not, we have to drop it down to maybe a 1 or a 2 from 0. To I don't know, that should be 10 or 0. Anyway, let's keep it 0. So we drop it down to like a 2, because although my ability humility, there isn't much kit between my assessments of my ability and my instinct to be humble and self-doubt and so on. Consider alternatives where I'm wrong or not the thing that I think myself to be or whatever. So humility in general, because that kind of humility isn't there. I mean, it depends on how you define humility, of course. We're defining it as self-doubt, or are we just defining it as lack of arrogance? And I don't think I would say as far as that I'm arrogant about my abilities. No. There are lots of things that I'm not good at. I'm pretty good at thinking, but not at necessarily getting results, but at avoiding or not committing as many intellectual errors, I guess. But that's it. So I can't affirm to be able to do anything with these abilities, or that they are abilities where I can bring about a goal. But if that makes any sense. But so let's put it at a 1. How kit my humility instinct is, because yeah, it does get triggered by certain things about my abilities. But anyway, it's just not everything. Not everything triggers an active humility, an active skepticism of self, an active remise en cause of self. So let's put it at a 1. And then what's the other axis? Oh, and then how strong it is? I have no idea. Because honestly, if it's a 1, that's so kit that doesn't have to be super strong. So you just have to research. You just have to look at my brain to find out. But so I was gonna say that I would think that at first I was thinking that my humility instinct is a B0 M9, but no, definitely not. Let's go, like I would estimate like it happens all the time. Um and it happens immediately. So yeah, let's go a C1 and then but then what is the output? What on the equilibrium side, what happens with it? I'll say something, I'll have thoughts, that are in opposition to the previous thought. And maybe I'm overestimating it because it's not like I mean, I do sometimes get stuck in a loop, but it's not like I just keep going. Let's go a 2 on kit. Let's go a D2. Let's go a D2 on the anti-livery side. No, but then we're getting close to average, and it's definitely no. Okay, we'll go a C1. No, let's go a C0, bro. Let's just do it. It's pretty much all the time. Yeah. Let's go a C0 on the anti-livery side. And on the equilibrium side, and this is the point, it would be closer to the origin. No, would it be? Because if I believed in all of these ideas, first of all, I wouldn't have these ideas if I weren't as humble as I am. Okay? That's one thing. There's so many errors I had to see this stuff. So that's one thing. But if somehow I had gotten to these ideas without seeing the errors in my previous ideas, I just got super lucky where it was just obvious from the go these things. Then wouldn't I write when I've done more with it rather than just putting it on post-its in my vehicle and making, yeah, I mean, when I try to get followers to get it out there, I don't know. There's just so many other things. There's fear of failure. There's the autism and not really wanting to be evaluated by people. So how kid it is, and then how zit it is. So if this gets slapped, then it will shout loudly on average to the subsequent its. I don't think you can do a general average, can you? That's wrong, isn't it? Because I don't know. I need to look more into biology. It's the first time I've ever been gotten past my neurobio knowledge. Because I never really did the cells anyway. But I also have to do cognitive neuroscience. I have to look at some stuff, to look at some streams, networks and stuff. Anyway, so what is the Kaez value? It answers the question, how likely to slap? It's not how likely to X liver. It's just how strong the equilibrium is. And it's just maybe you're taking, but I feel like it always has to be in context, doesn't it? It's how likely to slap some specific other it. No, but the way that the it is named includes the entire sort of equilibrium. That's the consequent of the it. So if you say all right, let's take an example. Let's start by phrasing it. Let's take the humility it. If I have a thought, then it is wrong. Well, yeah, when you define it that way, you're telling us how kit it is because you're saying if I have a thought, it sounds like any thought. So it must be very kit then. And you're not saying then I am totally 100% wrong. So the equilibrium must not be very zit. But it is going to be very kit because then I am wrong. That's a very general thing. Hope this is worth something. I don't know. But the question is, what about its effect on the X livery? Because isn't that important? Yeah, that's what's important. The Kaez score is talking about the X livery, but what about what actually ends up happening to X livery? Can you describe in it according to how likely it is to produce the X livery that it wants? And not some mixed livery or that it gets surlivered. Now let's do another. Okay, if member of outgroup, then distrust. So how sensitive is that condition if member of the outgroup? How kit is the whole antilivery network? No. No. Let's go back. So if I said if a thought is wrong, no, if I have a thought, if I have an idea, then it is wrong. Let's rephrase that. Right, no, right. No, that's good though. And that tells you how kit it is. Here's the thing. The if is the whole antilivery. That's the condition. And then you're slapping the it, right? You're not slapping the if. The if is the whole antidelivery, and it's the thing slapping the it. And then the whole equilivery is the then. No, but not necessarily. It's just what's voted for. So on the antilivery side, no, but there are lots of ways that you could get to that node. No, we have to keep going on this. All right, we'll come back. I just want to say, because the reason I started recording was because I was going to say that my humility is it's closer to the origin, because I still do advance in my ideas. But, like I said, I advance because of the humility, and I don't advance in the sense of transmitting them. A lot of my videos, I haven't like prepared a whole presentation of the idea. I don't have that much confidence in it. Just a thought I had that I'm putting out there. But I still put it out there. So what's happening right now? If I still put it out there. Yes, but when I put it out there, it was phrased as it was. Like, I don't know. And it could be phrased differently. You could say, if I have an idea, then have doubt. And then the doubt isn't an equilibrium. That's just an equilibrium that then triggers other things. So, and the doubt is strong, and it consumes my awareness. I can't just like easily let go of. It is a part of my even equilibrium, even though I still say it. The it was never then don't say it. Oh, the it was never that don't say it. It was just that then it is wrong. And so that's what I say. But just because something's wrong, there's elsewhere in my sit stem is the understanding that just because something might be wrong doesn't mean it isn't worth pursuing a bit. So yeah, the Kaez score, it's a measure of the likelihood of the necessary antilivery. And then yeah, its equilivery, what its subsequent it's, how likely the subsequent it's will be slapped, how likely it is to break the threshold of the subsequent it's. But then of course that'll vary. Like, if I'm a neuron and these are my axon terminals, I could have a whoop, and I could be like, oh, so this guy, if I get activated, this guy's gonna feel it. This guy, maybe not. So how do you describe the mesorate then? That's why you need context. Are you talking about that stream over here where, that ultimate X livery or that potential X livery? It's the sum. It's the sum. It's not the average. It's the sum. So the kit is the sum of all the connections. And the git is this, not the git, the zit is the sum of the intensity of those connections. But normalized. So you wouldn't want 1,000 connections. So a score of 1,000 for the kit. And then each connection has one thing to that it. So you're connected to 1,000 other its. And each connection is one unit. It's only one neurotransmitter sent across. Something, whatever, I don't know. Well, your kit score would be 1,000. And your git score should be low, should be 1. So what if this one, though? This connection of the 1,000, it's super, super strong. It's got 200 dendritic, or the other dude has 200 dendritic spines at this spot. I don't know. So then how git am I? How zit am I? Take the average, it's still a low zit. But what if that is really consequential? So you do have to take into account the next layer or the next, All right, because maybe we can just leave it to the mathematicians, but is there any value in this? So what does it mean to describe? I understand what it means to describe in it as high kit on the antilivery side. High zit, I don't really know what that means, but I think I just had to look at cellular biology. It's the intensity. Kit is the number of opportunities. Zit is the intensity per opportunity. And then all that determines whether or not the mesorate livers. Now, on the equilivery side, so with the mesorate livers, how much damage, how consequential will it be? How loud is it? For some people, the social proof it is much louder than for other people. And what that means is they experience more of a compulsion through social proof, and we see it more in their behaviors and attitudes. the evidence of that compulsion. So it's about the ex livery. And that's a case where there wasn't other things that interfered. Now, could you have a mind that where that social proof sends out super strong signals, but they had some trauma. They were part of a cult. And so every time that social proof impulse is there, it's surlivered by sort of a defiance of sort of what the people around us are doing or something. Then it wouldn't ex-liver, but you would still want to describe it as like a high output thing because that would be important to the system sense of conflict and the fact that if they didn't have that trauma, then they would be an absolute sheep all the time. So it has to be about the equilibrium. That's the best I can do. I don't know.